Yeah. So welcome everyone, and we're really pleased to see you here and volunteering, which is what we all do, but it's just always nice to see people come back or start anew on this project. I'm Glenn Moss, President of Lake County Audubon. Been watching this and helping where I could as it's evolved over the years, and it has evolved, and it's even with COVID going on, we've still been able to meet and figure out things. So we're hoping the plovers also don't notice about COVID and they return, and we will have our other birds returning and people being able to come to the beach. So I'm going to turn this over to Diane Phillips, and Diane will introduce herself and we'll continue on. I think that's where I'm going, right?
Yes. Hi, I'm Diane Phillips, and I have a few responsibilities associated with the Save Our Shore program. I am the co-chair for the public outreach, and I also am a member of the Lake County Audubon Society Board, and I target educational opportunities. And before I introduce our next person, Don, just to go through what we're going to do today as far as format, we are going to go through the entire presentation. And if you have questions, please use the chat feature. It's pretty evident, typically at the bottom of your screen, chat, and you just type it in and make sure that you're typing it so that it is for everyone and it's not directed to a particular person, and it's pretty evident. It'll show everyone. And what we'll do at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, we'll answer the questions. So I would like to introduce Don Wilson.
You're on mute, Don.
Sorry, I just muted because the clock went on. I'm Don Wilson, and I'm Diane's helper on the Sharing Our Shore project. And I'm also a member of the Lake County Audubon Board. I'm the representative to the Lake County Forest Preserve District. And I'm going to introduce Dawn then.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Don. I'm Dawn. I'm the bird monitor lead. I put together statistics and things for the committee. We have lots and lots of bird monitors out there that are much better birders than I am. So I rely on them, and they're wonderful. I see Cece and Rob are here. They were kind of my right-hand man last year. So welcome, and it's good to see new faces and familiar faces. And I'd like to then turn it over to Sandy. Sandy?
There, I'm Sandy Howry, and I am co-chair with Diane Phillips of Public Outreach for Sharing Our Shore. And I'm also on the Audubon board and handle the tech stuff, Facebook, and our website. And I'd like to introduce Diane Rosenberg, who's our Sharing Our Shore Waukegan extraordinaire leader.
Well, thank you very much, Sandy. I appreciate that. And I'd like to introduce our new member to our Sharing Our Shore Waukegan team, Royce Galindro. Bryce has recently moved here, transitioned his work here from northern Wisconsin, and we're just so delighted to have Bryce because he's had several years experience with piping plovers, with public outreach, and especially if the plovers nest this season, his expertise and his knowledge is just going to be a terrific help to us all. Bryce?
Oh, Diane, that was very kind of you. Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Royce. I'm shy, but I'm really glad to join all of you this season. In 2020, I completed my 4th season of plover conservation work at the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, where I worked closely with the Bad River Tribe and the National Park Service as actually their longest serving monitor. I'm an experienced birder, like an amateur herbalist, an artist. I'm Indigenous, and I actually grew up in Waukegan. So I look forward to sort of rediscovering the area and meeting the community, getting to know you all, and possibly being the token Wisconsinite at whom you can direct all your cheese-related jokes, if you must. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Royce. Thank you very much. We're going to move on now to a presentation, and it's going to take about a little over 15 minutes. We really want to spend the time on the kinds of questions that you have. So Glenn, let's see here. Can you share the screen with me, or can I just move ahead and?
You can do it because you're a co person.
Okay.
Just where it says share, you should be
Yep,
able.
I got it, I think. Let's see
Yeah.
here. Okay. Does it look like we're there? Is it okay?
We're there. We're there.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
See the
Thank you.
shore.
Okay. All righty. I really just want to thank you all so much for being here this afternoon. And some of you have been with our program since 2019. I mean, that gives you an idea of how new we are, just really a couple years. And last year, although the bird monitoring could go on, our public outreach was hampered, although we did find many ways to continue our work. Some of you were signed up in 2020 and haven't had much chance to work with the public. Others of you signed up as contingency volunteers, for which we are so appreciative. And I want to remind you all that this is being recorded, and if you need to go back and find any information, you can. And this presentation is going to give you a broad overview of what to expect as a volunteer and a basic understanding of our Sharing Our Shore Waukegan program. If you're a new bird monitor or a new public outreach, don't be concerned about remembering all of this. We have a volunteer handbook, a hard copy, and an e-binder. And mainly it's our committee, our team, and our other volunteers. We all help each other. We learn from each other. This program is evolving, and everybody's input is really important. So here we go. What does a Sharing Our Shore Waukegan volunteer do? Well, we have two kinds of monitors, bird monitors and public outreach volunteers. And you can see what the responsibilities are right up there: collecting data, informing, and contacting the public for the bird volunteers. And the public outreach help to educate and increase support for conservation. Here's some more details about the bird monitors. They collect data on the resident and migrating and breeding species. All of our information is reported to eBird, and Sharing Our Shore of Waukegan has been running on an Audubon in Action grant. So all of the data that Dawn collects from all of you who are doing this great work is reported also to National and has become a part of their database. The bird monitors also interact with the public and enlist support for both birds and conservation. There are lots of things that public outreach does. I'm only going to focus on two here, and if there are some others that you're interested in, we can talk about them later. But the two I want to focus on, the one at the bottom green, the beach tent, that's how we started our program in 2019, with a tent on the beach where we would describe the program and distribute materials. We also in 2019 started a children's program where we developed a kind of a Piping Plover story and had the children camouflage eggs, make scrapes in the parking lot, take a walk on the dunes, and then take the plover pledge and become plover pals. And I have a photo later on that near the end of the program to show you of what that program looks like. How do volunteers learn what to do? Well, first of all, the bird monitors get direction and support from Dawn, and anybody who's new will have site mentoring. There'll be all kinds of help given you. There's an e-binder that's been put together. All of the other volunteers will stand ready to help you. Public outreach, the same kind of a thing. Our committee will be there for you. When you're doing any type of activity, there'll be some experienced member of the team to help you with it. And again, we have a volunteer handbook that's available and various resource lists. There are 4 bits of basic information, whether you're a bird monitor or whether you're a public outreach. And these questions that are listed on the left came from questions that we were asked most often. The answers are on the right. The first question, what is Sharing Our Shore? Why Waukegan? What kind of examples can you give us of what's going on around here? And what can people do to help? And the next 4 slides are going to go through each of these questions just to give you a little bit of information that we think is really helpful for all of us to be aware of. The first question, what's this Sharing Our Shore Waukegan about? The answer is there in black. A partnership between Lake County Audubon Society and the City of Waukegan. The Lake County logo is down there in the lower left, the City of Waukegan on the right, and there's our logo. And I know some of you who are really experienced birders probably have trouble identifying that species there, that blue bird with a little orange bird beneath it. This is our attempt to get across the idea that we share this shore, that there's a strong commitment here to conservation, to protection, that we are all in this together. And this shore is not just our immediate shore. Our shore is this entire earth that we share together. The blue represents the water of Lake Michigan and the orange, the sand. Well, why Waukegan? On this slide, all of these photos, by the way, were taken at Waukegan, are some of the reasons why Waukegan is a special place. And what we try to get across when we talk to residents is to heighten their awareness of how special and how beautiful this place is, to have them come to know it, to learn about it, so that they want to stand by and conserve the species that live here and the habitat itself. To be a designated critical piping plover habitat is a pretty special designation. Question 3, an example of something that's happened at Waukegan. There are all kinds of things that have happened at Waukegan that are interesting. My favorite story, I found out that, data, you can give people data up the wazoo, but people don't remember numbers so well as they remember stories. And my favorite story is why Sharing Our Shore Waukegan exists. And this is based on the piping plovers that nested in Waukegan in 2018. At the top left photo, you can see the exclosure that was put around the nest. The center photo is the gravel parking lot. The blue can, the sign on top of that was warning people that these were endangered piping plovers that were nesting here. You can see the tire tracks in the gravel. And what happened is soon became evident that the piping plovers were not going to be able to successfully nest here. The 4 eggs were salvaged. They were taken to a facility in Michigan. 4 of the 4 eggs, 3 hatched. 1 of the 3 chicks survived. This was a sad situation, and Lake County Audubon Society asked the question, what could have happened differently? What could we have done to prevent this from occurring? And the answer is Sharing Our Shore Waukegan. If there had been bird monitors, if there had been public outreach people, those donut tracks around that nest enclosure could have been prevented. At least that's our hope, and that's been our goal. 4th question, what can people do? When you engage people, generally you find out that they want to learn more. We've developed a number of different trifolds and brochures and all kinds of materials to help educate people. And we want them to be able to support conservation efforts in Waukegan. Sometimes things are really simple. You can tell people, just keep the beach clean, pick up your garbage, keep dogs off the beach, become a plover pal. At our kickoff in May of 2019, Mayor Cunningham was the first person to become a plover pal. He signed our registry and signed the certificate to protect the piping plovers and this Waukegan Beach habitat where they live. The first time, if you're a first-time bird monitor at Waukegan or public outreach, you'll find that we have maps and everything you need to know to find your way to the beach. And there are 4 things when you get there that we'd like you to remember. Police, show, leave, remember. The Waukegan is a municipal beach. There's a police guard at the entrance gate from Memorial Day to the end of the season. And residents get in if they have a sticker on their car or other people can pay $10. Since we work cooperatively with the city issues a beach pass, and they've already given us beach passes for all of you who have signed up for this year. And you carry your beach pass and you show it as you pass through the guard post. And we ask also that you keep in mind that it's not a perfect world and these beach officers rotate. So every now and then you come across an officer who really doesn't recognize the beach pass. We have a list that the guards have received that give everybody's name. But again, you know, sometimes they don't have time. Cars can pile up behind. So have your pass ready and be ready to give a simple explanation of our program. Leave your pass on your dashboard. You never know what might happen, especially for bird monitors who might, for whatever reason, be on the beach later. It just avoids problems if your pass is displayed. And remember, please, to thank the police. They have a lot on their plates. They are concerned with people. They want to support our program. They've been really as helpful as they can be. So if you remember to thank them, it helps this program tremendously. Supplies. Well, we mentioned the beach pass, which is essential. Here are some other things. You can see your binoculars, your cell phone. All volunteers will receive a lanyard if you don't already have one that has your name and information on it, the logo. The public outreach have a t-shirt, as do the bird monitors. The bird monitors also have a vest. Everybody has a hat. You know, why do you bother with this equipment? I know sometimes it's just a pain to have to look for a t-shirt or put a hat on or find your lanyard, but keep these things in mind. And this is why we're asking you to please try to do this. It identifies yourself and the program. For those of you who might have been in some kind of advertising, every time you see a logo, an impression is made. Sometimes just looking at that several times, a resident might not catch that logo the first time, but eventually it has an impact. It offers an opportunity for the public to ask questions. Sometimes people are leery. They might see you on the beach with your binoculars, but they don't really know. But if you're wearing something that identifies you being with a program, it gives them access to ask. It also confers authority and our connection to the city. It says right on there, sharing our shore, Waukegan. It helps to provide, to avoid potential confrontation. So we hope you bother to wear the identifying parts of the equipment and supplies. Here you are, the hats and so on. I want to thank Sue Morris for allowing us to use her pass from last year. What to do when stuff happens? It's not a perfect world and things go wrong. Those of you who have volunteered before recognize these signs. They're on the beach. They're scattered along the beach in both English and Spanish. They give the beach hours. Last year, that 6 p.m. it was changed from red to the black for the 6 instead of 9. We don't know yet what the rules are going to be for this year. The city hasn't decided yet because of the COVID and securities of the situation what'll happen. But here are the rules: no alcohol, no glass, no littering, no pets, no vehicles, no music, no lifeguards. Swim at your own risk. At the bottom of the sign are the ordinance numbers. And again, in our handbook, you'll find information about these ordinances. And, you know, they're there, they're posted, but sometimes they're not obeyed. Here's another sign that many of you are familiar with. Absolutely no dogs allowed on the beach. Fines will be enforced. For those of you who spent a lot of time down there, especially you bird monitors, I'll give you 1 minute to try to think about what this next slide will be. Not a perfect world. So what do you do when things like this happen? Well, the first thing we want you to be aware of is your own safety. That's our primary concern, is you and your being safe. If it's a really dangerous situation, 911. If it's a non-emergency, there's the Waukegan Police non-emergency number. And again, it's in your handbook. You can put it in your phone or put it on the back of your lanyard, ID card. First aid, you only if you're certified in current CPR and or first aid. You have to please keep in mind that your role is to monitor birds and inform the public. Let authorized personnel handle all other issues. We've worked with the Waukegan Police, and that's their plea to us. Let them take care of the problems. I know this is difficult and challenging sometimes, but keep your own safety in mind. Our plans for 2021, to be or not to be, there's so many uncertainties between COVID and whether the piping plovers will nest this year. And we'll be in touch with you and we'll schedule as conditions allow. With bird monitoring, our regular program continues as you know, it's going on right now. The Audubon Great Lakes Secretive Marsh Bird Protocol, the first stage is beginning this year. Refugio Mariscal from Audubon Great Lakes, who's also one of our volunteers, will be running that program, and Matt Tobin is going to be working with him to learn the protocol, and hopefully then we'll expand it next year in Lake County. Again, the contingency plan for piping plovers nesting, we won't know that probably till the 2nd or 3rd week of May. Public outreach. We've already scheduled 3 programs for under 10 people in number. There are some other things, and if you have questions, I can go back and tell you about other things that are in the works. But we don't know yet about the public Waukegan Park District programs. We don't know what the city will decide. We don't know whether the beach tent will be allowed or whether we could have the tent put up for band concert nights or other public events. We'll have to just wait and see what the city decides to do. The contingency plan, recruiting 40 to 50 new volunteers. I think we're close to that number, or past that number now. And we thank you who have signed up as contingency volunteers. That's just terrific. And we will notify you as soon as we know whether your help will be needed. And again, you can see here, we're looking for people who are experienced as well as people who are unexperienced and willing to learn. We're looking for Waukegan residents. One way to look at this would be to be serving 2 hours, maybe 1 day a week between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. And we'll be doing that scheduling if the plover's nest. Well, every volunteer will get further training and will be supplied with an ID lanyard and a hat to identify you as a part of the program. I just wanted to mention this again because I think this is something that we should all really feel great about. I know most of you in the program know about this, the 5 piping plover chicks from Wisconsin who were weakened by an outbreak of botulism. And at the end of July, were moved by the Wisconsin DNR to the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to our part of Lake County out here. And the reason that our area was selected was because of this program. Brad Semmel from the IDNR reached out to us immediately. He talked with me, he talked with Dawn, and he knew that we had a great group of experienced and really competent bird monitors who would be able to observe these birds and report any issues or problems. They knew that our Sharing Our Shore public outreach had connected both with the city and with residents, and we'd be able to get support to protect these birds. These 5, this was the first time that a facilitated migration had ever been tried with piping plovers. And every time I look at this photo, I think about the value that this program has. And I hope that each one of you feels a sense of joy that we were able to participate in some way and the success of these 5 birds being able to leave our area. And now it's a question, well, will we see any of them again this year? Dawn took this photo. It's of N2. I believe this is the bird that Don Wilson named Roadrunner. I love this photo. There's just something about the way the light is hitting the sand and the bird itself. Your service as a Sharing Our Shore volunteer, as a steward of Waukegan Beach, well, it really does make a difference in conservation and education. Our committee, on behalf of our committee, really thank you so much for all that you do. It's such a simple thing, a thank you. I hope that it means as much to you to be participating in this program as it does to us to have you as a part of it. We're learning from each other. At the beginning of the program, I mentioned the Piping Plover's Children program. These are second and third graders from the Cool Learning Experience. And just look at these faces. They were thrilled to become Plover Pals. Each of them signed their certificate. They said the pledge aloud, and here they are. And just look at those faces. Well, that's the end of the program. I really thank you for your attention. And we wanted to turn it over now to Diane Phillips, and we'll try to do the best we can to answer your questions.
All right. Great job, Diane.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna start at the beginning. Bill is with Suzanne. All right, Lisa asked, was wondering exactly what contingency volunteer means.
Well, the term contingency came from our thinking that we don't know for sure or not whether those piping plovers will nest. But if they do nest, we felt it essential. In fact, when our committee met back at the end of last year, our primary focus, the first thing we looked at was what happens if piping plovers nest. We recognized that we would not be in a position to effectively monitor them. At the end of the year, and Dawn can speak to this, when the plovers from Wisconsin were released, it takes a massive amount of time and energy to be able to observe, safeguard, protect these birds. And we decided that what we would do would be to, first of all, we reached out to Montrose Beach, to the people there who have run their program. As you know, the two birds that nested in Waukegan in 2018, nested at Montrose, Monty and Rose, in 2019 and 20. And we've talked with those people, we've talked to other people. And so we wanted to have monitors in place. We wanted to have a plan in place for scheduling, for communicating with monitors, and a way to engage with the city and public, get passes, all that sort of thing. I don't know if that's enough. Is that enough, Lisa? Or Dawn, do you want to add to that?
I think what's important for the contingency volunteers to understand is we don't have a plan in place because we don't know what's going to happen. That's the bottom line. And I think you made that quite clear, but I just kind of wanted to.
No, thank you.
Also, with the contingency volunteers, I want to reach out to you and say, I know that's what you signed up for, but if you are planning to be on the beach on a regular basis or would like to monitor, especially we're lacking monitors in the afternoon hours. It's doing something after work from 3 to that kind of from 1 to 6 p.m. time period was where our monitor base was really stretched thin. Birders are obviously morning people, and a lot of them tend to be teachers, so they're off in the summer and they bird in the mornings. And so it would be really helpful. You can reach out to me and just let me know that, yeah, you'll be at the beach and you eBird, and then basically I can include your statistics from eBird into our database, and that's just really helpful. But yeah, for example, contingency, because of what we went through last year with the birds that were rescued, they were rescued off of Cat Island, which is in Green Bay, and transferred from IDNR to a zoo. They were treated for botulism. They were released by a veterinarian. They were then released from Wisconsin DNR into Illinois DNR, and US Fish and Wildlife kind of had the say on everything, but we were given less than 24 hours on the release. So we really had to jump into action with short notice and put together a plan. And Cece and Rob are here. They were part of that plan. We met on the beach. I had recognized that they had been there on quite a few days. I said, hey, look, we have this problem. I need some help. And that kind of is where our last year's contingency plan was, hi, I'm Dawn, will you help me? So we kind of wanted to be, yeah, Rob is shaking his head. We wanted to be a little bit more prepared for that if that happens again. We hope it doesn't. The botulism outbreak in Green Bay was awful for the population of the plovers. But we were very happy to help, and we had a team of very strong 8 or 9 people, and we covered that, and we fledged those 4 chicks basically from Waukegan, and very proud of that effort. And so we just wanted to have something better in place just in case of a nesting and just in case of a release, because then we would need monitors from the opening to the closing of the beach. So that in a nutshell.
Dawn, I have a question that's not on there. If somebody doesn't know how to use eBird, or would you be willing to train them to use eBird, or are you the person that would enter the information in eBird?
No, I'd absolutely be happy to help anyone if they want to get involved. eBird you can do on your computer, which I prefer. You can also do it on your cell phone in the field or after you get home. So there's a couple options there. It's a free app. It's a citizen science program through Cornell University. And so the information you enter is of the public domain, but it is used for particularly for endangered and threatened species and tracking by many, many organizations. DNRs use it, US Fish and Wildlife use it, rehab facilities use it. There's a lot of ways it gets used. So not just for our program, but for everyone's program. Anytime we see a black-crowned night heron at Waukegan Beach, then that's something the Secretive Marsh Bird Program can document for their program as well, because all of our information we're adding as monitors for this program can be used by other programs. So it's really a wonderful program and very easy to use, but I'd be happy to train.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is a statement and a couple questions from Lisa. I've never seen the no dogs sign on the beach. Did someone take it down? And also, has anyone reached out to the new mayor-elect in Waukegan? I believe she will take office in a few weeks.
The sign that was in the presentation, the no dogs, I actually took that photo maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I know the sign is there. Others of you, that's the big one that's kind of halfway down the beach. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak to that, but let me answer the mayor question. Yes, we will reach out to the new mayor-elect, Ann Taylor, and remind her about our program. We've had wonderful cooperation in the past from Mayor Cunningham and his staff and from the city PR. So we are looking forward to working with the new administration. Again, it'll be a different situation since this program began. It's been Mayor Cunningham, and we'll have to make that transition, but we're optimistic that everything will go well. To go back to the signage, does anybody else want to mention anything about the dogs, no dog sign on the beach?
The only thing that I can say is that the large signs that are both in English and Spanish, the no dogs portion of it really gets lost. One set of signs as you come into the beach and you have to stop at the stop sign, you turn partially right and then you stop. That no dog sign, the two signs are off to your left in your peripheral vision. So you don't really see them when you stop at the stop sign because you're looking in two directions and not at those signs. The other signs are at the one and only entrance into the beach down by the dock everybody uses to walk out to the sandy beach area. And right now, one of the signs is missing. I think the city has plans to replace it. My concern is also there's one sign that's wonderful, and all it says on that sign, and it's very easy to read, is no dogs allowed on the beach. That sign isn't anywhere near the walking path to the beach.
No.
That sign is down. If you're familiar with the beach, there's the old bandstand, the cement one that's halfway down the parking lot. That's where that sign is. So yeah, that's something that I think that it's important that we work with the city to get that singular sign reproduced and posted in multiple locations so that the public can't say, I didn't see it. Because at this point in time, realistically, I understand you can't see it. It took me a long time to see it, and I was down there every day.
All right. Suzanne is thanking all of the coordinators for the program and has a question. When do we expect the plovers to return?
I'm throwing that one to you, Dawn.
No, lucky me.
Put on your prognosticator hat.
Well, and that's just it. We have no idea. Monitoring, I did run into Cece today at Illinois Beach State Park, and her and Rob have already started monitoring for the plovers, not only at Waukegan Beach, but Illinois Beach State Park. So as of today, I'm starting the data collection. I will look back in the earbirds, but I think the official date will be tomorrow. But technically, everything seems to be migrating early. So we just had, this is a little amusing story. There's an organization called Great Lakes Piping Plover, and it covers Canada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and a couple other areas along the greater lakes. And so at the end of the meeting, after they had their kickoff meeting about the season of the plover for this year, there was a whole competition about who's going to get the first plover of the year. So I'm betting on Waukegan. We start our monitoring. I would say we can really start looking hard by the end of the month. You know, if everything's migrating early, we might see them in the next week or so. But typically by the end of the month through May, and then again, our monitoring stopped mid-August. So when the final chicks took off from the beach. Does that answer your question?
Royce, is there anything you might like to add to that?
Not really, but the time frame for Lake Superior was very, very similar. I usually stopped monitoring mid-August. Oh, yeah. And started in early May.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our next question is from Amy. Do we already have a schedule set for monitoring to look for plovers in the next, arriving in the next month? Sorry.
Who is that question from?
It's from Amy.
Amy. Dawn?
From me, it was from me.
Okay, and Dawn, could you answer that question, please? Thanks, Amy.
Amy, could you restate your question for me? I'm sorry, I was typing a reply in chat and I.
No, you were talking about, I mean, I know certain people just go there anyway to look for the plovers, but are you setting up a schedule to look for them, like have people there all day long to look for them? Or is it more just when some of the birders see them, then you'll start, say if the pair does show up at Waukegan, then you'll need to schedule people there all the time to watch them and make sure that they're okay. Is that what you're talking about? So you don't need people to be every day there looking for them. You just have yourself or whoever is a birder that would be looking to see if they'd even arrived in the area. Correct? Or do you understand?
Okay, thank you. I guess the best way to explain that is the way we kind of thought of it last year. And that was during the migration or possible migration period, we kind of view it as an informal monitoring. And we appreciate any extra time that you have to go down and take a look and eBird it. So even if you see nothing, you can use, if you eBird, you can use the Piping Plover entry and type in a 0 for your sightings. And then that is included in my data and is helpful to us. And that's kind of our informal period to kind of see who's covering the beach when and where. And it lets us know that when we get to more formal monitoring, which we will then put out a schedule.
I see, okay.
And then ask, hey, we have these slots open. What we did last year, and it worked pretty well for us for a pilot program, was we used a Google Doc and we used a shared sheet. And everyone was able to go in there and just type in their name and the times that they planned to be there. Nobody was held to, if you said you were going to be there at 1 o'clock, but you couldn't make it till 1:30, when it was informal or when we knew where the chicks were, we just kind of wanted to keep an eye on the beach and the dogs and the people and the Saturday goings-ons that happen down there sometimes. So does that make sense? Does that?
Yes, that answers the question.
Okay, thank you.
Is Dawn there? Yeah, Dawn is there. What happened? Diane?
Did we lose Diane?
Yeah, what happened there? Glenn, can you see what happened with Diane?
I just don't see her. I will mention.
Oh, sorry, my mute was on. Diane messaged me, her internet went out.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so it looks like all the questions were answered. Don messaged Carla on the chat that you can pick up.
Can we maybe just open this up? Anybody that has a question that comes to mind, just open up your mic and chime in, or any of our returning monitors out there. I see Doug is here, Doug and Char and CC and Rob and Matt. Anybody want to pipe in and introduce yourself? I know I'm putting you in an uncomfortable position. I mean, sometimes these Zoom meetings are hard enough. You're meeting a new group and you're basically inviting them into your home. And so I quite understand the wanting your camera off and your mic off. I do that often myself, as the committee can attest to. But if anyone has a question, we'll give you a few seconds here to chime in, or if any of the committee members have any additional information that they'd like to share. That
I was done, or can you hear me?
Yes,
I was wondering how many pairs of Great Lakes piping plovers there are. like not just at Waukegan, but, or, you know, Monty and Rose, like what's the total? Because I wondered what happened with the Green Bay botulism. Did it really significantly reduce the breeding pairs or not?
Royce, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, as of last year, thank you so much for calling me out. There was an estimated between 75 and 80 breeding pairs.
Okay.
That would, well, I suppose there weren't any in Waukegan. I was going to say that includes Waukegan. It doesn't. But I will say from the Apostle Islands standpoint, there's like over 20 islands up there, I think. And most of them are very difficult to visit, and a lot of them have beaches. And so there very well may have been plovers that were nesting and we just weren't aware. And that's good. They should be nesting in remote places where we cannot reach them, right? Anyway, that's the long of it.
Royce, does that include the National Seashore at Michigan?
I believe it does. Yes.
Okay. Which is very good. If you haven't been there, they put a lot of signs up about not being down on that beach during the nesting time. I mean, they're very aware of the plovers because they've had the greatest numbers, I believe. So I put a question in there too, or not a question, but a comment. Dawn, you would probably know, or Lisa, will that beach be open during the week? The gate will be open like it normally is, and it's just on weekends that they will probably require either a fee or a pass?
Well, you know, we don't know because of the new mayor.
Okay.
So we actually worked with them to have the gate be opened earlier in the morning because there's just this whole group of people who like to go down and take sunrise pictures.
Sure.
And they were very responsive, and because 6 a.m. the sunrise is already over at a certain, you know, when you get closer to summer. So they agreed to do that. The mayor, former mayor, was like, sure, open that gate earlier so they can be down there and take pictures. So I know that was viewed positively, but I'm not sure what to expect now.
Mm-hmm.
I would think things would continue the same way, and maybe it'll be opened up differently with COVID if it's now, if, you know, it's viewed as safer, and we can maybe open it up more. I don't know what they're going to do.
Just follow up a minute on that, because I'm glad that you mentioned that, Lisa, about, you know, the past cooperation and looking ahead. And as you said, none of us know for sure, but you know, we're optimistic about this, and we have spent time, our Sharing Our Shore program. The people on our committee have met with the former mayor, with people on the mayor's staff, people in city departments. And one of the things about this partnership that I think it really appeals to me, and it has to do with the fact that we've emphasized with the city in all the ways we can that being a good conservation partner, cooperating in these efforts, is an advantage to the city. It's an economic advantage to the city in that it brings people to the city to see the birds. You know, Waukegan is known as a birding hotspot with, you know, 300 species being sighted in Lake County and 294 of them in Waukegan. That's pretty amazing. And we've given programs through Sharing Our Shore at the library, and at the, we work with the Park District. So we've been trying to be a good partner with the city and to let them know that there are advantages of this program of cooperating with conservation, that it's a win-win situation. And from, you know, our point of view, and since I've been around for a while and watched conservation movements, so very often when there's a conservation issue like piping plovers nesting, there can be that could be the first time that an organization meets the municipality, and it's confrontational, it's difficult, there are no relationships that have been built. So a part of this program that I think is so essential. Everybody's role in this really makes a difference because we try to tie those bonds and make it apparent to the city that this is a win-win for them. If they open that gate early and there are more happy people that are taking pictures of the sunrise and able to monitor birds, that this will help to make Waukegan the kind of a place that the residents love and that people will come and visit and spend their money, and the whole thing will be, you know, productive.
If I can just jump in quickly, we have also put forth some questions to the city about gate hours and early access and staying late and parking and things like that. And we're hoping that the new administration will see that it's very important for organizations like ours or plants of concern or things like that when we're talking about dune restoration and dune preservation, that these things are important. So right now, we've been told the gates are not opening early and they will not open early, but it is a transitional period within the city government. So we're just being patient and biding our time. We did work around it last year and we plan to continue to work around it this year, whether it means walking from a distant parking lot or riding a bike in, which is permitted at this time. So we're willing to do what we have to do, but we're very hopeful that with the new administration, that there can be new conversations about this. But as of right now, the gate does not open earlier than the posted times.
Are there other questions?
I just had a comment too, that a couple of years ago, there were, I guess they were called beach rangers. And these people would go around, I don't know how much authority he really had, but they watch over things. And that money wasn't not available last year during COVID and probably won't be available this year for the hiring of those people. So that's why it's important to be observant and report things on your own without confrontation.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate that comment. Yes, we also had access to that big storage container on the beach, and those beach rangers were so helpful in getting the tent up and moving supplies around for us, and they became Plover pals, and it was really a good situation. And that also has been put on hold, and the last conversation we had with the city, they were waiting to see about you know, the statewide COVID restrictions, and it seems like it's a moving target, and it's the, you know, larger groups that are an issue. And those of you who were involved in the program last year at the beach know that the hours were changing. You know, we had some weekends where things were going to be closed down or they weren't going to, you know, and the things changed all the time. And all I can tell you is as changes occur, if that happens again this year, that it's, we have really pretty good communication. And within, you know, a few hours of the change being made, we were able to let you know. But again, it's just part of this uncertainty, and we're optimistic that we'll be able to work with the new people. And, you know, that's our plan will be, as soon as we know something, we'll get in touch with all of you. We'll be keeping in, you know, email touch with you. Are there any other questions?
I just have another comment. We're working on a possibility of as a pilot city to be a bird city, Illinois, and with Waukegan being one of the first. It'll be the first of maybe 3 or 4 cities all getting designation at the same time. If you know of projects that have been going on that are environmental type projects or things in Waukegan, because it's hard to look up all of them. We do know there's a bird sanctuary by the by Bonnie Brook Golf Course. We know about the swale that was planted in all native plants in the parking lot at the beach. But there are numerous things. We know that they're going to use bird safety glass in CLCs. But if you know of some, please just send it to Lake County Audubon Society at Gmail, and I can include those or ask you for more details. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. I'd just like to mention too, as another announcement, that one of our volunteers, Kathy Garnis, is going to be giving a program at the Waukegan Public Library Monday the 12th at 5:30. She's going to be talking about orchids in Illinois. And for those of you in public outreach who might have spent some time with Kathy, for our volunteer handbook, she's just a wonderful botanical artist. And for our Sharing Our Shore botanical, for our plant section of the volunteer handbook guide, she did about 7 pages of plants on the Waukegan dunes, and they're just beautiful. They were picked up by the Field Museum and are now a part of the Field Museum's guides. So she's going to be giving this presentation. We've given 3 or 4 during the year at the library, where we try to hook in our Sharing Our Shore program to the library and to doing a kind of a greater sense of public outreach. If any questions occur to you after this and you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email any one of us individually, or just go to the Lake County Audubon Society at gmail.com. And if you put SOSW in the subject line, we'll see it. So just Lake County Audubon Society at gmail.com. And I can tell you that as the situation evolves here, as we get information, we'll be in touch with you. We'll be contacting you, getting you supplies if you need them, the shirts, the lanyards, that sort of thing. Some things have been ordered and are coming in within the next week, and we'll be reaching out to you. And I just want to thank all of you so much for your time, for your interest, for your willingness to participate in this program. It's greatly appreciated. And if nobody has anything else to say, I'll just say see you soon and thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hope to meet you soon, Royce.
You as well. Thank you so much for inviting me. I learned a lot.
Oh, good.
Royce,
This is Don. We're going to try to meet with you sometime, Dawn and I.
Yes.
Off the beach.
yeah.